Welcome aboard. I'm your captain, TCG Pirate King. I want to thank you all for joining me here today. It is Magic Monday after all, and we're going to talk about everything that came in the mail. Let's get into it. But first mate, what does it look like in our treasure chest?
We have a lot of different ones to look at, and as you can see, we have every color imaginable except black. We don't have black yet. Back to you, Captain.
And with that, I think we're going to begin with our first card. And as you can see on our left here, it is Bolas Citadel. Bringing that in, I did order this card. In fact, I ordered one for myself because I found myself needing another copy of the card because I have a couple decks that already utilize this card. And I am a fan of the Friday Night Magic limited edition, the launch party release event promo. I just like the downward angle of the city. I like the foiling that's done, the colorization. I think it's nice. And not everybody's going to get this kind of copy because they only gave this out during draft weekend for the launch party. Now, Bolas' Citadel, this card, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. Right off the bat, that is a very powerful ability. That's the kind of usability that allows you to start manipulating with scries and withdraw. I like using any kind of ability. Like there's Oracle of Maldaya. There are so many cards. There's Sensei's Divining Top that let you look at the top card of your deck for free at any time. And all of those cards tend to be sought after, cards that are worth putting into your deck. Just that alone, if it was nothing else about this card and it was only that you get to look at the top card of your deck, I would like this card. Of course, I wouldn't like that it's a 6 cost if that was the only thing it did. Fortunately for this card, though, it does continue. It says you may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. So what this means is that when you play a spell off the top of your deck, which you can do at any time, you can play any card off the top of your deck, really, even a land, unless you've already played a land that turn. When you cast that spell, let's say that you were playing a 3-cost card like the Keldon Flame Sage. You could play this off of the top of your deck for 3 life instead of the 3 mana. And I think that that's a net advantage that's always worth looking at. Paying life for instead of mana is always a good thing to do. It also says that you can tap and sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. Now, with treasure tokens being as prevalent as they are, it is very easy to get 10 non-land permanents on your field these days. I do recommend picking up a copy if you have not in the past. And if you could not tell already, since the lead-up was so obvious, this is actually going to be the first black card that is being added to our little treasure chest here. So I wish everybody a bunch of luck, and I hope whoever wins this card is going to be someone who desperately enjoys this card, because honestly, I can't wait to build more and more decks with it. I absolutely love it. Again, it's not a very expensive card. I mean, it's only about $5.61. So, I mean, it depends on what you think is expensive. But for me personally, $10 for 2 copies, one for you guys and one for myself, just to be able to put this into another deck that I'm in the middle of building. That's totally worth it. I like to see people happy, and I want to see people enjoy the cards that I enjoy. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video, and let's continue with the next card. Before we get into our next card, though, I would like to remind people that in order to be a part of the raffle, the drawing, you do have to be a subscriber, and the raffle will happen when we hit 1,000 subscribers. Until then, let's keep going. This card is Keldon Flame Sage. I actually went ahead and ordered a few copies of this card. My wife managed to go to pre-release. So this is actually courtesy of a pre-release pack, which is wonderful, which is why we're able to have our hands on this kind of card. She was at the shop, and there was actually a special promo that the store was doing. I won't say which one, not because I don't respect the store, but because in case there's any problem with the legality of what they did, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. If I find out later that this is all well and good and everything's cool and they can do whatever the heck they want for a promo, then heck, this is wonderful. When she bought the pre-release kit, they threw in a couple of set boosters for free as a thank you for shopping here. So I thought that was really cool. Either that or it's the fact that she's been going to the gym lately. Anyway, moving on. This is Keldon Flame Sage. It is 2 and a red for a 2/3 human shaman with Enlist. Now that is amazing because Enlist is what's going to take this card over the top. I'm speaking to all of you Commander players out there because this card pairs with any red commander. Well, not any red commander, but the concept is play it in a deck that can allow you to play red. Because any of your commanders, let's say your commander is 4 power, 6 power. What if you were playing like some sort of teamer stompy with big spells or whatever, and let's say your commander, I can't even think of someone right now, but I just know a Gruul one would be Godzilla with an 8, but I know we can all think of so many, I'm sure, powers. I'm going to throw some ideas up on the screen, some nice red legendary creatures that you might be able to pair this with. But the idea is that when you attack with Keldon Flame Sage, you can tap whoever your commander is, and who said you needed any more creatures? Truly, you can play no more creatures in the entire deck. Just do Keldon Flame Sage and your commander. Tap the commander for Keldon's Enlist. Whenever Keldon Flame Sage attacks, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is Keldon Flame Sage's power. Now that's where that comes in handy because you're going to be tapping it off of your commander. You may exile an instant or sorcery card with mana value X or less from among them. Now, if you're doing what I was saying with the Gruul, for example, and you're playing some really nice beefy damage dealing spells and removal kind of spells between red and green, then you would be tapping that Godzilla for an 8 power on top of Keldon Sage's 2, giving you a 10x value. You may exile instant or sorcery cards with mana value X or less from among them. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. This is going to cheat so many of your instants and sorceries out into play from your deck. I do highly recommend people start taking a look at this card before it goes crazy. It is currently only a $2.50 card for its extended art copy. And if we were to take a look, I don't even think I have the data for a different version of this card right now, but I know that if we were to go to TCG Player for a second, we're going to go over here to TCG Player and we're going to see if we can take a look at the other versions. So it's over here right now for $1.34 and yes, 99-cent shipping, but if you're going to get yourself a playset, that tends to balance out. Let's take a look at Keldon Flame Sage, just the regular version, which this is right now, and we see it going for an average of 80 cents, as low as 65. This is a card that I can spec being as powerful as the Snapcage Magecaster that everybody absolutely loves, the blue version, and this is a red version of that. Enlist is going to make this and break this, depending on who, of course, your commander is, but I definitely recommend that commander players take a look at this card and spec it before it becomes an 8-13. Who knows where the roof is on this card? It's really up to the players once they start realizing what they can do with it. Burger King. This is not product placement. Next on our list of misfit toys are the Defiler cycle. Specifically, I'd like to talk about White and Blue, Faith and Dreams, more so than any of the other ones, because I will take a moment here to quickly talk about, I will say that Vigor is obviously the most powerful one. I will give it to Green for having the Phyrexian Worm of my dreams. That being said, we look at the black one as the worst one, and I'm going to tell you why he's the worst one after we get through it all, and you'll understand why once we get through all the other effects. Red one, I think is fine. Definitely the second from the bottom, but if there was a cutoff line, it's still good, and the only bad one is black. And then we've got this one, Dreams, and this one, Faith. Blue and white that I think are completely underrepresented, and I think completely overlooked. So, respectively, Vigor has Trample, Faith has Vigilance, Dreams has Flying, Instinct has First Strike, and Flesh has Menace. As an additional cost to cast the respective color, and they all do this effect, so that's why I'm saying their respective color. So the white one affects white, the blue affects blue. As an additional cost to cast the corresponding permanent color spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost 1 corresponding color less to cast. If you paid life this way, this effect reduces only the amount of mana that is of that color. This is actually creating Phyrexian mana. And as we had already discussed about Bolas Citadel actually earlier, it is always advantageous to use your life instead of mana. So right then and there, we've got white, we've got blue, we've got black, green, and red. Green doesn't really need this power, however, green does use it really well, because green can heal. But there's one color that can heal even better than green, and that is our friend white. Defiler of Faith heals so often that there is no excuse for not wanting to play this card. It is a Phyrexian human. It is a 5/5 for 5 mana. I understand it's a little pricey, but from the moment this card hits the field until the moment it dies, if it even dies, these cards are essentially a Phyrexian Mox cycle. With that involved, they all continue with their own effects. Vigor says +1/+1 to all of your creatures in the form of tokens. That's very powerful. I can respect that every single green spell that hits the field is going to start ticking off even higher and higher values of power on your field. That is the strongest card. So keep an eye on that. It's an $8 card for the extended art copy currently. Try to get your hands on a copy of the $4 regular copy if you can. It's going to only go up in price, I believe. It is a very powerful card. But while you are at it, try to pick up white and blue. White has the life gain mechanic that it can always make use of life. Whenever you cast a white permanent spell, create a 1 white soldier creature token. It's always lovely to see board presence for white. And blue, whenever you cast a blue permanent spell, draw a card, so it is hand replacement for your hand advantage. These are very powerful. I would pick them up definitely for your deck brewing if you can. The fourth one I might pick up as well would be Instinct. Instinct is good. It says deal 1 damage to any target on the field, or just any target, so even to the face. You can hit your opponent, and if they start healing, it's fine, because ultimately when you think about the math of the game, even if they heal 6 and you only dealt 2 damage to them, they're up 4, but it's better than them being up 6. And with Defiler of Dreams giving you the And with Defiler of Instinct giving you that leverage, that ability to inflict extra damage even just onto tokens if you really want to, you could start removing things with Death Touch. A lot of Death Touchers are 1/1s. And the final card would be Defiler of Flesh. It's the black one. It says that when a black permanent hits the field, when you cast a black permanent, you get to give +1/+1 and Menace to one of your creatures until the end of turn. And the reason I don't like that card, and I believe it to be the weakest, is because it is the only temporary effect. The damage from red will always remain, even if the creature heals, even if the person heals. Well, if you hit a creature, it's not going to matter because they either die or they don't. But if you hit the face, it always will matter. The blue one, draw a card replacement. The white one, board presence. The green one, strengthen your presence that's already in effect. The black one, you temporarily get Menace and a +1/+1, and it's not permanent. If it was a +1/+1 counter on one creature, and that creature also gets a Menace counter, then we'd be in business, because then you'd just be giving +1s and Menace all day long, and you'd be doing that every time you played cards. That would be as effective as all these. But as it is, you're only really doing it for that one time, and it's not going to stick around, whereas every other card here, the advantage stays. Would you believe that all of these cards were in my wife's pre-release pack? I'm jealous. Envious, I should say. Jealous would mean I'm afraid of losing what I already have. Envious means wanting what someone else has. I want this Timeless Lotus, but she says sell it, so we're going to go ahead and sell it. So, I'm going to be selling this card, and it's going to basically pay for the pre-release pack, which is wonderful. Because as you can see, I made out really well. Thanks to her, we have Keldon Flame Sage, Defiler of Faith, and Defiler of Dreams being added to our collections. Defiler of Dreams has already been slated for a mono-blue flyer deck that she plays. Defiler of Faith has been slated for a mono-white human deck that she plays. And Keldon Flamesage, although has not been slated for a deck just yet, I cannot wait to start brewing with it and start showcasing a couple really nice little combos. So all in all, this was a wonderful pre-release kit. For those of you interested, the pre-release kit's promo, stamped foil, was Shivan Devastator, a Dragon Hydra with Flying Haste, X and red on a 0/0 body. Shivan Devastator enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. There were many reasons why Shiv was not high on She-Holdred's list of places to conquer. Big, fiery reasons. Maybe people are afraid of the fact that it's a 5 and 2 blue. Maybe the 7 mana converted cost is the reason why this card just hasn't seen beyond $10 in about, 6 months? Jin-gitaxias, Progress Tyrant. He's a legendary creature and a Phyrexian Praetor. He's not just a Phyrexian, he's one of the gosh damn leaders. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for that copy. This ability triggers only once per turn, but also on top of that, whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter that spell, this ability triggers only once each turn. This is nuts. This is going to double everything you play, counter everything your opponents play, and yet it's only doing so for a 7 mana investment, and it's doing it every turn. In a game of Commander, it's going around the board, it's hitting everybody, it's punishing them 3 times before it rewards you once, but who cares? That's a lot of punishment. Now, there are so many ways to cheat this out into play. I could see myself, in fact, I'm actually building a Praetor deck that is centered around the Rainbow Bridge from Kaldheim. It was an enchantment on the back of Eska. Her ability was, I suspect, as we continue, we're going to have another 8 months, almost even a year of Phyrexia. You might want to get your hands on this card before it becomes, what was it pre-ordering for? It looks like it was pre-ordering at above $50. It dropped down to $27.99, and by the time it released, it was a $20 card. I will admit that. But it has slowly ticked down, and I only can say that it has done so because people may have forgotten about it. Alright, this is going to be a budget-friendly option. This is by invitation only. I'm actually really happy to have a copy of this. It is a 93-cent card. Got it as a foil. It is 3 and 2 white for sorcery speed. Choose a number between 0 and 13. Each player sacrifices that many creatures. Now, you just play this when you're playing a large field. White has the ability to play a lot of tokens. White-green Selesnya has the ability to play a lot of tokens. Hell, you can go into any color with white that plays any number of tokens. As long as you are banging out creatures, you will always have more than your opponents. And yes, you're going to have to look at your... And again, I play a lot of Commander, so I like to think like a Commander player. I go, okay, so there's player A, B, C, and I'm over here. So let's say I've got 11 creatures on the field. Player 1's got 6, player B over there's got 7, and player C over here's got 4. Well, if I've got 11 and everybody else has less than me, I'll just go with the second highest count. So if 7 over there, I'll say 7, sacrifice my 7, bang, 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 I just board wiped the field, but I still have 4 creatures? I like this. It gives me a little more control over a board wipe. I think it's a very beautiful artwork, and it is part of the Crimson Vow set, which is a set that a lot of people are already starting to forget even existed. So it might be time to look back and start taking a little purchase, maybe try to pull, even if you don't want to get this card right out and you're just like, maybe I just want to try to get more Crimson Vow cards in general. Now might be a good time before people start to be like, maybe I should take a look, everybody. And now we're on to another reserve list card, Borg Stalker. Borg Stalker is not even a card that I really thought was super powerful. I'm going to be honest with you. The reason I spec'd this card is because it went down below $2. It is now $1.33 if you'd like a copy of Weatherlight. And seeing as the Dark and Legends and Antiquities and all those early sets, Arabian Nights, they're all getting so popular right now, it might be a good time to start caring about the reserve list again, people. During each player's upkeep, if that player controls any non-black permanents other than lands, Borg Stalker deals 1 damage to that player. This is a fun little card that can just start beating people up just for existing, really. And I made sure to grab myself a playset. No real cares towards investing in this card. I kind of just wanted to make sure I got my own playset just in case I ever did want to play with this card. But you never can tell. Might just sell a few copies, may even buy a few more. We'll move on with the next card, and I believe it's going to be our final card that we're going to talk about today. Final card we're going to talk about today is Fairies Puzzle Box. This is a card from Visions. It is on the reserve list. It was a rare from Visions, and it is currently at the market value of $6.17, going for an average of $7. And if we take a look back in 2019 going into 2020, it actually did hit as high as about $34. It has since, of course, dropped to the aforementioned price. But the reason why I made sure that I talked about this card today, and why I recommend that you guys go ahead and pick up a copy if you're capable, is because of the new She-Holdred card. The new She-Holdred, of course, says that for every card your opponent draws, they take 2 damage. And of course, for every card you draw, you heal 2 life. So when we look at a card like the Fairies Puzzle Box, this was solely done so that I could make use of a group hug effect and still punish my opponents for it. So keeping in mind She-Holdred's ability to deal out damage based on the amount of cards that my opponent draws, this is a 4-mana artifact that says, during each player's draw phase, that player counts the cards in his or her hand, puts those cards on the bottom of his or her deck, and then draws that number of cards. This is going to incentivize people to have very small hands just so that they don't have to take too much damage, but it's going to be hilarious when you start to realize that you either have a lot of hand and have an answer for it, or you have no hand and are just trapped by it. I absolutely love this card in combination with She-Holdred. I think it applies the perfect amount of 2-card pressure. It's not a 2-card combo that's going to win the game outright, but is a 2-card combo that is just going to hit your opponent so hard in the gut that they're going to wish they never even sat down at the table. Well, I'm out of coffee, and therefore we're out of time. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. It was a lot of fun here on the channel. Until next we see each other, I want to wish you all happy sails on calm seas. Welcome aboard. It's your captain, TCG Pirate King, and today we're going to be talking... I rolled a crit.